Howdy, howdy. So if you stick around at the very end of this video, you will get to see a video of me from way back in 2012. You'll also get to see the wall of a really cool room that I was working on. Didn't ever get it finished, but boy would it sure have been cool if I did. Also, what I'm going to discuss towards the end of this is how the topic is directly related to prepping, especially in my instance, and how I think it might be a good fit, do a good job for many others as well. What am I talking about? Well, last night I got in a pretty spirited debate with a member of the chat, and look, folks, two things here. Number one, it's probably not a good idea to debate me on something that I've been an advocate for, because I'm not a lazy advocate, okay? Absolutely not. Secondly, don't bring a knife to a gunfight, right? Here's one thing I can tell you. If we're going to a gunfight, I'm bringing the belt fed, you know what I mean? I'm not even bringing... Now, it ain't going to be no 45, it ain't going to be no AR-15. I'm going to bring the damn belt fed. So, the topic we were talking about last night was vaping. And it can be a hot topic with individuals. Mostly people that, I'm just going to say it, are uneducated. And, you know, one thing you never want to do is hold up a profession to me or some type of a graduate degree or anything like that. And the reason why, and I brought this up last night, we can take the old, cough, cough, jab, jab from back in 2020. And that's a prime example of how you had many in the medical community that were both for and against it. Okay? They can't all be right. So if they can't all be right, that means some of them are wrong. So to hold some kind of, I'm in the medical profession, that doesn't work for me. You know how many cars I've had to fix, after individuals have taken them to the shop? The shop with the name above it and the person's name on their shirt and all that. You know how many vehicles I fixed for people after they took it to the shop? Doesn't mean a thing. Every individual is their own, right? You can have somebody without a single piece of paper to hang on the wall that knows a plethora of things very, very well. At the same time, I know people. I've actually been in this position. A guy I knew actually had a degree in PC repair, yet he had to have me fix his computer because he had no idea how to. Very, very, by the way, very simple problem. But yet he had that piece of paper on the wall that he graduated from a tech school on how to repair PCs. Didn't work out so well. So let's go back real quick and talk just a moment about the cough, cough, jab, jab. I've said this before, and a lot of people, when I make the statement, they're a little bit like, huh? What are you talking about? I've said before that COVID actually saved vaping. And there's a lot of people that don't understand that. Let me explain why. Back in 2020, right when that same epidemic started, we had another epidemic going around. People were buying and using adulterated THC cartridges for vaping, and it was making them sick. And they were about to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They were about to throw all vaping out. But they didn't, because they got preoccupied with, the cough, cough, jab, jab. That actually saved vaping, because they were seriously going to throw it all out. The truth behind that was, I say adulterated, because these were just, Joe Blow in their house, wherever, that were making these THC cartridges, and they were using something called vitamin E acetate in them, which is a no-go. That is what was making people sick. People weren't getting sick from the regular nicotine-based vapes. Although they tried to blame it on that, that was not the case. It was because of the vitamin E acetate that was in the THC vape cartridges. The difference between, obvious differences obviously between the THC vapes and the nicotine vapes, but one of the big differences that most people don't know about is this is made, the nicotine vapes are made with water-based components. THC vapes are made with oil-based components. And one of the things early on in the game that we all understood was that we didn't want to vape any kind of oils. And so that was something that way back in 2012 or so, we started heeding that. So I've been doing this. I've been an advocate. I've vaped, and I've been making my own juice since 2012. And I'm going to show you a little bit of something to kind of give you my street cred, if you will. Let's go on over to the web browser here. You're going to see a gentleman there, Facebook page, named Phil Busardo. Incredible guy. He is one of the icons and pioneers of the vaping world. He has some of the best, most hilarious content related to vaping, and at the same time he's got some of the most informal content related to vaping. Why do I bring up Phil Busardo? Well, again, he's a very, very known name in the industry. And I was just going to show you. Here's my activity log on Facebook. You'll see right here, January 22nd, 2012. And that's when him and I became Facebook friends. So I was just kind of wanting to show my street cred, if you will. I've been there. I've been doing this for a while. This isn't something that I started doing 3 months ago, and now I'm trying to tell everybody, how to do it, like the preppers do. This is something that I've been involved in. This is something I've been passionate about. I've been a strong advocate for. And in fact, my name is one of the names that is on the complaint to the FDA or against the FDA way back, and I think that was in 2012. 2012, when they had customs seize, FDA technically did it, seized all the shipments coming in from China for vaping supplies. I had over $1,000 of vaping supplies that I still to this day have never received because it was confiscated by the FDA. I'm sure they were supposed to give us all that stuff, but I assure you they never did. So let's get more to the topic here. Last night we were, part of what we talked about was nicotine. A lot of people don't realize the role that nicotine has in the human body. There's nicotine in all kinds of things, and I didn't bring up a list. I wish I would have. I didn't, but tomatoes is a prime example of something that you'll find natural nicotine in. It's not just in tobacco. It's in many other foods as well. Nicotine really isn't all that bad. From everything that the long-term studies have shown, there really isn't so much of a concern about long-term health effects. A lot of the health effects are short-term kind of health effects. Your blood pressure, your heart rate, stuff like that. I know those are important things, but they have a pretty minimal, impact on that. Now, serious nicotine use over a long period of time can harden the arteries. So I'm putting all that out there right up front. But nicotine gets a really bad rap. The reason why is because, obviously, cigarettes. The first sentence in this little paragraph I've got here by the, little organization known as the National Institute for Health I've got a paragraph here, and the first statement, the first question, or not question, first sentence is pretty incorrect. However, the second sentence validates what I'm saying. So let me show you that. Let me bring you on over to there. Again, this is from this is actually in the National Library of Medicine. It's part of the National Institute for Health.gov website. And by the way, that's NIH.gov. And here it says, just in the abstract, nicotine and tobacco brings illness and death to millions of people. That is correct in tobacco. In tobacco. However, it goes on to say, yet nicotine in its pure form has the potential to be a valuable pharmaceutical agent. Okay, what we use when we make e-liquids, what we use is, I can't tell you it's pure nicotine because it's not pure nicotine because they don't give out 1,000 milligram per milliliter nicotine to the average everyday Joe, and rightfully so. That's dangerous stuff. Even inhaling the vapor of 1,000 milligram per milliliter nicotine can kill you. Like, bam, on the spot. So, it's not so easy to get that. The common highest level of nicotine that you can buy, it's what I use, is diluted 10 times. So it's 100 milligrams per milliliter. Okay, so that's, when I buy nicotine, when I buy base nicotine, it's 100 milligrams per milliliter. Okay, not nearly as dangerous that way. So that is about as much, and it's suspended, by the way, I'll tell you this, it's suspended in either vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol, or both. So that's the pure nicotine there. Let's read on. It says nicotine fairly specifically binds, and a lot of this stuff I'm going to say the names wrong, the cholinergic nicotinic gating site on the cationic ion channels and receptors throughout the body. This action stimulates the release of a variety of neurotransmitters, including especially catecholamines and serotonin. That one I know, the love drug. Your body's natural love drug. When chronically taken, nicotine may result in, they've got a list of things here. Number 1, positive reinforcement. Number 2, negative reinforcement. It does. It goes both ways. Number 3, reduction of body weight. You probably know those people that have quit smoking and then gained a bunch of weight. Enhancement of performance and protection against, let me repeat that, enhancement of performance and protection against Parkinson's disease, Tourette's disease, Alzheimer's disease, ulcerative colitis, and sleep apnea. Goes on to say the reliability of these effects varies greatly, but justifies the search for more therapeutic applications for this interesting compound. You know, nicotine. That stuff you've been told is the devil. So, I told you the bad effects that we know about nicotine. You know, temporarily and immediately it will impact your heart, things like your heart rate and your blood pressure. Just minimal though, nothing serious. Long term, it has shown that it has the capability to harden your arteries. You know, kind of like eating a bunch of fatty foods all your life. So, I want to show you one of my favorite recipes, actually. I got it up here this way because last night I was listing the ingredients that's in vape juice, right? So I want to show you just what it is that's in vape juice. It's kind of like, it tastes similar to a sherbet ice cream flavor that I make. It's like, oh, I love it, my favorite. And this is the recipe. I don't mind giving it out. This is it. This is what's in this bottle in my hand. Nicotine juice, 100 milligram per milliliter, that's the strength, 50-50, because the nicotine base that I use, I've got both, but the nicotine base that I'm currently using is 50-50 PG-VG. PG, propylene glycol, nope, nothing to do with antifreeze. That's nonsense. And by the way, PG is used in all kinds of different drinks and candies and makeups and you name it, all kinds of stuff. The VG is vegetable glycerin, okay? That's also in a bunch of food products and common everyday products. So you've got nicotine base, nicotine juice, as I've got it labeled there. And I've got that at 6%, okay? 6% of this bottle is nicotine base. Propylene glycol, 10.5% in this bottle. VG, vegetable glycerin, 67% in this bottle. The most goes to vegetable glycerin, especially if you make 70-30. That's what I make my juices. That means 70 vegetable glycerin, 30 propylene glycol. Now for the flavorings, and these are candy flavorings, folks. These are candy flavorings. Bavarian cream, 0.94%. Lemon lime, that wasn't in the actual original recipe that I got from ChatGPT, but I added it and it tastes better. That's at 1.5%. Peach, 3.75%. Raspberry, however you want to say it, another 3.75%. Strawberry ripe, 6.56%. That's it. I just listed all of the ingredients that I'm intaking in my body when I go, yes, see them all. That's it. That's all that's in here. I make it myself. I know what's in here. And boy, is it good. So why would there be so much pushback on something like vaping? Especially when you got advocates like myself out there telling you, hey, nothing is risk-free, okay? But when you stack it up, when you put smoking tobacco products that, actual tobacco versus vaping, the health effects are not even near the same. For one, you're actually inhaling a burnt substance, and that includes carbon monoxide and all kinds of nasty stuff that you're inhaling. And what they put, especially in brand name cigarettes, it's insane. You're talking about, I don't know if it's dog urine, but I believe there's a type of urine that's put in it. There's formaldehyde that's put in cigarette tobacco. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's put in cigarette tobacco. And, oh yeah, by the way, FDA approved. And it's kind of crazy because there are false claims that there's formaldehyde in vaping, and that's just not true. That is absolutely not true. So why would you have so much pushback by the government on vaping? If, again, there's nothing that's risk-free. But the level of risk with vaping versus smoking conventional, a lot of times we used to call it analog tobacco products, is monumental. Monumental. In the UK, they were putting vape shops in their hospitals, encouraging pregnant women that were still smoking to switch to vaping because they don't have what I'm looking at right in front of me over in the UK. They don't have it. There's a reason, a very big reason for the pushback. And even tobacco companies pushed back and lobbied and paid tons and tons of money to destroy vaping. Eventually, some of the vape companies, like Juul, for instance, got bought up by some of these tobacco companies, And then Juul started doing some pretty disgusting things. They were marketing towards kids, more or less. They were making the product very attractive to kids. And as a result, a bunch of kids started vaping. Now, there was a court battle and all that, but understand that was a tobacco company that did that. That wasn't those of us that started out in vaping, those of us that pioneered vaping to what it became today. That wasn't us. In fact, we were very, very good at self-regulation, and anytime we caught anything, we were on top of it. For instance, in the very beginning, a lot of us didn't use, and I used to make and sell e-liquid. A lot of us didn't use child-proof caps. And rumor had it that somebody's kid got a hold of a bottle of vape juice and opened it up and drank the contents. And, from my understanding, if it's correct, the child got, he got sick, he threw up. But that was the worst of it. It wasn't nothing very serious. So we immediately pivoted and started using child-proof caps on our own. We didn't have to be regulated by a government entity. We did this on our own. We went to child-proof caps. The other thing that we would do is we absolutely shunned anybody that used any type of packaging that would be attractive to children. We shunned anybody that had cartoony type images or in any way if it would be attractive visually to children. We were against it. We did not participate in it. Now the flavors, the candy flavors, and we all like candy. You like candy, right? We all like candy. If you've got your choice of, vaping something that just tastes like a nasty cigarette, or vaping something like sherbet ice cream, I'm thinking you're probably going to pick sherbet ice cream or whatever it is that you're into. So why this pushback? This pushback goes back to something called the Master Settlement Agreement. Okay? Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement, MSA, is an accord reached in November 1998 between the state's attorneys general of 46 states, 5 U.S. territories, the District of Columbia, and the 4 largest cigarette manufacturers in the United States. It requires the tobacco industry to pay the settling states billions of dollars annually forever. Say that again. It requires the tobacco industry to pay the settling states billions of dollars annually forever. Also forbids participating cigarette manufacturers from targeting youth, imposes restrictions on advertising and promotional activities, and bans or restricts transit advertising, outdoor advertising, product placement in media, branded merchandise, free product samples, and sponsorships. The same things that we need to do with Big Pharma. Just saying. So yeah, where does that billions of dollars annually forever come from? That's one of the reasons cigarettes cost so much. The taxes. Vaping, e-juice, was not taxed like that. So in other words, and this is still very true to this day, you can vape for monumentally less money than what smoking costs. A lot less money. So what happened is when vaping came to the U.S., thanks to advocates like myself and many, many other wonderful people out there, it spread. And it grew. And it became what it is today, a multi-billion-dollar industry. Yeah, I was one of the pioneers in that. And they weren't getting that tax money that was promised in the Master Settlement Agreement for vape juice, for e-cigarettes. That's why you had so many different organizations within the government, agencies within the government, come down on vaping so hard because it was killing their cash cow. That's the facts. That's the facts. So, I'm going to go on because we all hear the horror stories, right? Oh, but I know of this person that this, and I know of that person that that. Well, good for you. I pulled one up here. Let's check it out, shall we? This is from Lad Bible, and I will put links, by the way, to anything that links are relevant. I will put the links down in the description and the first comment to this video so you can browse them at your leisure. Teenager who vaped equivalent of 50 cigarettes a day given shock diagnosis after coughing pints of blood. Did this happen? Apparently so. Apparently so. But let's read it, shall we? We shall. Having vaped the equivalent of 50 cigarettes a day, this teenager was given a shock diagnosis. Jaden Richardson had picked up the habit when he was 12 in order to fit in, but by 17, his health has paid the price. Okay, first of all, both of those ages, 12 and 17, are minors. And legally, he should not have been doing that. Now, I started smoking cigarettes before I was 18 years old. It is what it is, right? Every single one of us have done stupid stuff. Starting smoking is one of the stupid things that I had done. Just one thing out of a huge, long list, a lifetime full of stupid things that I've done. But the things I did as a teenager were much more stupid than the things that I do today, you know? It says here that the Shropshire lad was on a family holiday in Turkey back in August when he started coughing up blood on the last day, rushing to hospital once he had flown back. Okay. The night before, I had a bit of a chest pain, but really didn't think much of it whatsoever. I woke up the next morning, had a quick go on my vape, and just as if I had a bit of a chesty cough, the teen explained. Okay, now, you have to understand, some of these kids will use the pod vapes, especially like the 50 milligram per milliliter pod vapes, to get a little quick buzz off of. Okay? And so they'll sit there and they'll huff these things. There isn't nothing you're going to do to stop that. And I'll prove that here in just a moment. Jaden said as he started to cough, he was bringing up little bits of blood, but it really wasn't bad at all. But a couple hours later, I had a few drinks and stuff. Don't you love that? I had a few drinks and stuff. Back in 2020, when they were trying to go after nicotine vaping because of the adulterated THC vapes, there were a lot of people that denied vaping anything other than nicotine because they didn't want to get in trouble. Okay? So, again, I will say, but a couple hours later, I had a few drinks and stuff. And I got into the swimming pool, he recalled, but as soon as he got in, he was coughing up loads of blood and was pulled out. Gone straight to the toilet, and I'm coughing up pint loads of blood. It scared me to see, especially at a young age. I would imagine so. It was traumatic. That was probably going on for a good 10 minutes of me coughing up pretty heavy blood. After landing back in Birmingham and coughing up more blood, doctors at the hospital initially assumed he had a stomach ulcer. His mom, Elita, admitted she thought it could be down to the drinks, greasy food, and having a kebab every night in Turkey. Jaden was sent for lung x-rays, but nothing showed up. Nothing showed up. But then, until an endoscopy revealed he had severe lung damage. I think they were going through the options of everything, not thinking that a kid of his age would have severe lung damage, Elita said. First of all, don't huff the thing to catch a buzz off of it. It was never intended for that, and it was never intended for a child to be using. You know, kind of like the illegal immigrant argument when people try to say, well, why are you going to deport them if they didn't break the law? They're here, aren't they? They broke the law. A week later, that's when he had the camera down. The consultant said he's never seen so much lung damage on a kid. It's awful. Excessive vaping, that's what they said. It was a shock. What about all the other things he did as a dumbass teenager? The teen was put on medication and decided to stop vaping, with the bleeding stopping days later. However, he stupidly, wasn't the first time, used a vape months later on 10 January when celebrating his birthday, and when he started coughing afterwards, he could tell straight away there was going to be blood. I thought the damage was done and it would just heal itself, and I thought that a few tokes on a vape wouldn't affect me. But I was totally wrong, and I can't believe how easily it was to get the damage done again, he said. Damage done again, huh? Hey, don't do anything that'll screw up your lungs, folks. It sucks. As somebody with COPD, it sucks. Goes on to say, feeling frequent pain, Jaden is awaiting a CT scan and has now vowed to never use a vape again. We'll see how that works out. If I could go back to the moment when I first started vaping, I'd tell myself never to touch one of them, he explained. It's crazy how dangerous they are and what they can actually do to the human body. You don't realize it when you do it. It just affects you in the long run. I would never touch one. Well, you were 12, man. You were 12. No, you shouldn't have been doing that. And even up until you were 17, you still shouldn't have been doing that. Look, the reason why vaping became a thing in the United States is because it was the number one by a long shot way to help people quit smoking. It wasn't intended as being a new form of taking in nicotine for the younger generation. That wasn't the intent. The intent was to help people make a healthier choice and not kill themselves so quickly, to be quite honest. But see, kids do dumb things. And even if you took every single vape off the shelf, banned it entirely on the entire planet, it wouldn't matter. Kids will do stupid things. Exhibit A. Kids got sick eating detergent long before the Tide Pod challenge. You remember that? There's a bucket challenge, cinnamon challenge, the mannequin challenge, and then there's a Tide Pod challenge. Remember that? Absolutely crazy. It's a good thing that a lot of the kids spit it out immediately. And it says right here, they aren't actually eating the pod, because if people swallow even a small amount of these toxins, they may suffer chemical burns on their throats, esophagus, or lungs. They may vomit and endure intense abdominal cramping and diarrhea. They could have trouble breathing for the rest of their lives. In the most extreme cases, they die. Tide Pods. Can you still buy those? Are they still on the shelf? Are there still detergents on the shelf that kids could hurt themselves with? Oh, there is? Huh. Imagine that. Imagine that. You can't fix stupid. It's gonna happen. And at some point, it happens to every single one of us. Some of us, it happens a ton of times, right? So, real quick, I've got a video that I want to show you of me back in 2012. I was involved in a group of people. We were the, was it Total Vaping Network, I believe it was. I could be wrong on that. There's a lady that'll speak after me, and she gives the, well, in fact, I give it too. So, but before we get to that video, I just want to say the reason I got into vaping was because of preparedness. I didn't get into vaping to quit smoking. I didn't get into vaping to make a better health choice for myself. I got into vaping for preparedness. Because I got to thinking, and I was a heavy smoker. And I got to thinking about the amount of room it would take to store 2 years worth of cigarettes or cigarette making supplies. That's a lot of room. It's also a huge expense. Huge. I can put easily a year worth of vaping supplies in a shoebox and probably get close to that 2 years in a large shoebox, right? Let me show you something. Here's one of my boxes here with just absolutely tons of flavorings in it. There's enough flavorings in this to last me the rest of my damn life. Okay? Not that they're all good flavors. And this is my box with my small bottles. I've got another box under there that's got my big bottles. Just saying. So, that's why I got into it. It's easy to store. It doesn't cost but a fraction of the money. And it does the same thing. It takes care of the nicotine fix. Also, it can be used to barter. Because if and when the big SHTF does happen, you're damn well going to have people that are going to want their nicotine fix. And if you can give it to them, what's that going to be worth? Also, not only do you have a repeat customer for the e-liquid, somebody's going to need to charge their batteries on their device. So that's good bartering material too. Anyway, I am going to show you this video here. And this was way back in 2012. I was much more nervous on camera then than I am today. Even though, as I was saying earlier, I participated with a group of vaping advocates. And what we would do, we had YouTube channels. We also belonged to this Total Vaping Network. And what we would do is we would just hang out on live video, play music in the background. That was before YouTube would slap your hand for anything close to a copyrighted song there was. We would play some music and just hang out. And essentially what it was a place where people could come and ask questions and find out information about vaping. And that's what we did. One of the ladies, one of the more involved ladies in the Total Vaping Network, decided to make a series of videos, and this would be one of the episodes she made. Now you're gonna see me at first, and then you're gonna see another lady. I'm gonna let you see her because her laugh is so infectious. In fact, I miss it. It was just, you'll see, her laugh is just so infectious. But and I'll be back and I'll close up. So here you go. Me in 2012. I actually had teeth then, most of my teeth anyway. And enjoy.
Hi, my name is Mike Callahan, otherwise known as Crazy Vapor. I got started on vaping. I went over to my best friend from high school. I went over to his house to sit around and reminisce a little bit. And he's over there, you know, and he picks this thing up off his kitchen table and he sticks it in his mouth and he starts, you know, sucking on it and blow out this big old plume of what looked to be smoke, you know. Well, I mean, I'm no idiot. I knew it was an electronic cigarette, but, you know, I asked him, I said, you smoke an electronic cigarette now? And he's like, yeah. I kind of laughed because, you know, I don't fall for things very easily. You know, there's a lot of gimmicks out there and stuff. And I was like, so, you know, you don't have nicotine cravings or anything like that? And he's like, no, I'm getting my nicotine. It's got nicotine in the juice. And I'm like, I probably asked him 3 or 4 times, you know, are you sure you don't have nicotine cravings? Because I've battled smoking for 25 years. It's gotten so bad now that I cough, and I start coughing real hard. And I don't know if as a child you'd ever make each other pass out, but I make myself pass out from coughing, and I'm too stubborn to go to a doctor. So basically I know what it's from. It's from smoking 3 packs a day. And anyway, back to the story. When I got home, I got phone numbers and stuff from him. When I got back home, I called and I ordered me a kit and some juice. And who would know, the one person that I would never think would ever make it to 25 years old. We were some pretty crazy kids. Saved my life. I would have never guessed it, but I appreciate it. Look, folks, it works. It's real. If you don't smoke, please pass this video on to a friend of yours that does. You know, if you love your friends, save their life. Send them to Total Vaping Network. I'm not trying to plug any particular, you know, but that's who I found. TotalVapingNetwork.com. They're great people. You know, they have live shows with a chat going on where you can ask questions. You know, everybody's knowledgeable and more than happy to help you. You know, if you smoke or you know somebody that smokes, please. This thing's a lifesaver in many ways. Don't hesitate, please.
Okay, so real quick, I wanted to back up. I told you it was a room that I was working on. That's the wall. That was actually the door right behind me. And what was supposed to happen is that's supposed to be like a rolling hillside, right? And on the other wall that I'm actually facing, it continued all around the room. And the wall that I'm facing, we were going to put a runway because I was big into aviation and flight simulator and flying ultralights. We were going to put in a runway, and I was going to add LED lights for the runway. And I was going to hang airplanes, you know, like model planes from the ceiling. And I don't know, it was just going to be my little, it was my flight sim room, right? But that was the room that I was talking about. That's me way back in 2012. And man, that has been a long time ago. So anyway, let me play the other lady and go from there.
I was bound and determined this morning to get my sound and my recordings working so I could get my 2 cents in on what vaping has done to change my life. And I'd just like to thank Mandy for letting me be involved in this little endeavor. As a 20-year smoker, I tried everything from the patch, the inhaler, the gum, cold turkey, medications. Everything was unsuccessful for me, even to the point where I gained weight so bad I was up close to 200 pounds. Every time I tried, I went back. In August of last year, I lost my grandmother, who raised me from a baby, and so she was a mom to me. I had no idea she was using an electronic cigarette, nor did I know what they were. When I went home for funeral and such, I was given her Joytech electronic cigarette, her 510. And I went from there. I researched, I studied, I found everything I could find about them, and here I am. Healthier, happier, my sense of smell is so much better, my sense of taste is so much better. I sing, I notice a lot more air capacity, I don't have a hack, I don't have a cough. I haven't been sick since I started vaping. I am amazed by this. This is my life now. I know I'm going to drag on, and you said a minute, but it's going to be longer than a minute. I love vaping, and the community, and the friends that I've made, and TVN. It's changed my life completely. Changed my life so much that I'll never go back to analog cigarettes. You couldn't make me want to smell like an ashtray now. I much prefer to smell like clear water and watermelon and berries. Thank you, Mandy, for letting me get my 2 cents in, and I hope that out there, if you're watching and you smoke analog cigarettes, get away from them. They're hurting you, and they're hurting the people around you. So save yourself, like my grandmother is saving me now, because I had no idea about them, and I'm grateful for her passing that on to me in an instance. But that's it. That's all I've got. Please vape on and vape happy. Thanks, Mandy.
She was an absolute blast. Like I said, her laugh is infectious. It is to me anyway. I know it was infectious to many others as well. There were a lot of really cool people that were involved with Total Vaping Network. I have no idea where they all are today, but I wish them well. I hope they're doing well. And we were on a journey, and I continue that journey to this day. So vaping is probably not a topic that you want to try to bullshit me with false information on, because I have been neck deep in it since it came to the United States, since right after it came. I mean, it was within 3-4 months, I think, after it came to the United States that I got involved. Been doing it an awful long time. So anyway, I just wanted to explain why it is that I had such a harsh reaction last night to, well, quite frankly, the bullshit. I'm not going to back down from what I know. Not going to happen. I've got integrity, and that goes both ways. There are many things I found out that I was wrong about, and I admitted it. I got no problem with that. Why? Because I am not emotionally attached to it. I'm a logical person. Logic dictates that if something's not true, stop saying it is true. Don't take it personally. It's information. It's not your best friend. It's not your lover. It's just information. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people out there that are kind of stuck on themselves. And, when they find out that they've been lied to or that they're lying to others, well, it affects them emotionally. And they will do everything that they can to try to prove that false information correct. Our society has reached a point today to where people demand being lied to. I see it all the time. Look at the left, and I hate to bring politics into it, but look at the left. Look at how much they demand being lied to. As long as they can live in their bubble world, that, I don't know, it's messed up. It is truly messed up. Watch the confirmation vote today for Tulsi Gabbard. She got it. Go Tulsi. And RFK Jr., they voted on cloture for his nomination. I think they're going to be voting on him tomorrow. Go RFK Jr. And I don't think he's going to have a problem. I think Tulsi was a harder problem to get in than what RFK Jr. will be. Kash Patel might be the hardest. Pete Hegseth wasn't a walk in the park. I think Kash Patel might be a little harder even than Pete Hegseth. I could be wrong, could be about the same. But anyway, Chuck Schumer you all know the shoomy schmuck boy, got up there and talking about how, our prices, inflation and stuff like that, costs are still going up, and how Trump promised that he was going to bring the cost of everything down. He's been in office for 3 weeks. The guy is out of his damn mind. But the left demands those lies. The left demands that misinformation because it's how they want to feel, because they are emotionally attached to it. That's why it's important, just like the good book teaches, not to do that. You're not supposed to become emotionally involved in decision making. The Bible very, very firmly warns against that. Anyway, I wanted to present my case to the court of public opinion. There you go. There you have it. I'll see you all later on for the live show. I got a dog to feed before she starts eating me. And I will see you all later. Shalom.